because that dude Joe, he's a fucking savage.
Oh, that's Joe. That's me.
Oh, that's you?
Yeah, I'm Cop Watch Hawaii.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh well, now you
like,
do.
Damn, he's a fucking savage.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, you sharp in there, bro. You be tearing their asses up.
Sweet bitches, here we go. Here we go again. We're sober. I just realized that. We should probably do something to stop that while we're doing the podcast.
Well, wait a minute. You want me and all you people, you just get rid of your lawyers entirely? I'm not a lawyer. How the hell am I supposed to go in there, not a lawyer, and how is that supposed to be better than if I had like a standby counsel? And that's a perfectly, valid concern, but as time goes by, short time, just a matter of a week or two, you'll come to see, oh, that's why I don't even want a lawyer on standby counsel. Because I can do all this stuff on my own. It's not hard or complicated, it's relatively easy, and it's just a matter of going in there and knowing how to embarrass them on the transcript. It's just a word game. That's all it is.
But I haven't, I haven't role played like
that's fine.
Like that.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm just not up to par like you guys.
Sure, and that's all fine, man. And I can walk you through all of that. I forgot if you mentioned if you have because I have one. If you don't, do you have a script or something to work with as a general outline for role play?
Shit, I could write this shit down. As a matter of fact, on that Cop Hawaii thing, they had a whole bunch of questions there that you that you could write down. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
you had 15 of them.
Yeah, so once you get the hang of it, I don't even use a script. I just have some,
You can't go by the script, because if you go by the script, you don't know what they're even going to say, so you don't know what you're going to ask next.
Right. A script is nothing more, and we shouldn't even use the word script. All it is a paper that reminds you of what question you're currently on. That's really all it does. And if you get kind of stuck, you're like, oh shit, wait a minute, what's the next one? You can glance down at it and be like, oh, yeah, there we go. And people use it like a checklist. They go check, check, check. And if something doesn't have a check, they know that even after the judge just rambled on for 3 minutes about nonsense that has nothing to do with it, that they can go back and be like, so was that a yes or no to the relevant issue on the table? So
because that dude Joe, he's a fucking savage.
Oh, that's Joe. That's me.
Oh, that's you?
Yeah, I'm Cop Watch Hawaii.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh well, now you do.
Damn, he's a fucking savage.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, you sharp in there, bro. You be tearing their asses up.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've only been at it since September, man. That's it. Not even a year.
How did you get that good?
Dude, it's just because it's that easy. It's not even because I'm that good. I'm not, any extra if I can do it, anybody fucking can, that's for sure. It's just a little time. I mean, we got several guys who, like I said, 0 to 30 days coming out with recordings where they dominate them so bad the judge literally runs off the bench. Case dismissed, bailiff, escort him out of here if he doesn't be quiet. If he says another word, this case is over. Bang, and they leave. And they put you at the very end on purpose so they can leave. Because they talk to each other and they know what's coming.
Yeah, they want you to fuck out of there. As soon as you submit them,
dude.
The motions, they know what you're up to, though.
Yeah. So there's a few things I want to kind of lay out for you, big picture, before we jump into a role play. It'll help you understand the exact purpose of the role play and why it is we do and the directions we choose to go. So stop me at any time if I say anything that you already know, just so it doesn't waste my breath and time and whatnot.
Okay.
Let me put it to you this way. Have you ever known anybody who's been in the military?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a couple families.
Okay, cool. When they sign up for the military, they sign their name on the line, they volunteer. There's
UCMJ?
Yeah, okay, so you know this already, sweet. And how that's a form of jurisdiction?
Yeah, they have to sign for that.
Right. And they have military lawyers and military judges, and they don't even have grand juries. They have something like court-martial and different things. And that's why the military doesn't ever have a problem, because you signed it. It was voluntary. You agreed to live under it. There is no civilian version of that. And the reason why they can't do it is because if they started telling everybody about it and asking for your signature, people would be like, wait a minute, you require my signature to,
Exactly.
you know, and then the gig would be up, right?
Yeah.
All the nonviolent victimless crimes, all the shit they make money from and jail people over, and class warfare, straight up, they wouldn't be able to do anymore. So that's why they can't do it. So they're screwed. They're all running a hustle, and the judges at least know it, and prosecutors for sure. But cops probably don't. Anyway, so all we do is we're pointing out the nature of the fraud. So there's international standards, all right, that apply to all civilized countries that they will respect, even here in this crooked-ass one, such as, you know, the right to a fair and meaningful hearing. The right to be informed...
What is that supposed to mean?
Oh, okay. So it means two things. The right to be... No, excuse me. The right to have a fair and meaningful hearing. A fair simply means they don't get to treat you like shit. It's supposed to be equals. I know that there's a scary judge up on the goddamn elevated wooden throne, but fuck that. We're supposed to be equals. So fair means you don't get to interrupt me whenever you want and then shut me down when I have to interrupt you. You don't get to just ignore relevant clarifications I need and just go off on your... Of course they do. Of course, because there is no fair and meaningful hearing in this country. There is none. But we just put it out on the table in what's known as what we call a softball question. There's softball and there's hardball. Softball question means it's an easy question they should give a yes or no to, and it shouldn't piss them off. That's a softball question. A hardball question is it's a question that they still relevant, they need to give an answer to, but it's going to piss them off. And those happen later, right? Don't worry about them right now. So, and this is part of where the script starts. It starts off with these quote-unquote softball questions. So the fair and meaningful hearing. So the fair, yeah, it means supposed to be equals, supposed to be same. Nobody's dominant here. And then the meaningful part means I have a right to make progress here. You don't get to just sweep everything under the rug and then say, haha, come back in 2 months. And then come back in 2 months.
They're supposed to be like, aren't they supposed to be like the fucking referee?
Yeah.
And they're not supposed to, like, it's just supposed to be me versus the prosecutor.
Yes.
And he's supposed to just, like, be like the middleman, not biased.
Yeah,
but
dude.
It looks like he's in cahoots with the fucking prosecutor.
All day long. It's like, it's the Super Bowl. It's exactly like the fucking Super Bowl or any match. Anything like that. He's supposed to be the ref. He or she, not the prosecutor. So what actually happens is, and I'll just say this real quick. So get this. The fake entity, the nothing made up crap that is listed as the plaintiff against you is the state of New Jersey, right? You said you're in Trenton. So it's the state of New Jersey. Of course that doesn't exist. That's just goddamn words. You know, you can't have the state of New Jersey walk in and you know, ask him questions.
Yeah.
So it's always that. Well, guess what? The judge, the prosecutor, they're both licensed by the state of New Jersey. You pull out their goddamn bar cards. What does it say? Licensed by the state of New Jersey. Who are they paid by? The motherfucking state of New Jersey. All right? And if you're a defendant and you hire your own lawyer, that guy is licensed by the state of New Jersey. By the plaintiff.
So conflict of interest.
Yeah. So this huge conflict of interest, right? And that's like if let's say the Denver Broncos are playing the Seahawks. Let's say Denver pays for their coaching staff. They pay and license the referees, and they pay for the Seattle Seahawks coaching staff. And then they get into the Super Bowl and think that's going to be fair. Obviously, the Seattle players are fucked.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Yeah. So, but they justify it. Anyway, so that's kind of the big picture what's going on every day, all the time. And nobody knows it or brings it up, really. So, that's the fair and meaningful. You get to make progress. So that's what those two words mean, and that's it. The next one is like, here's another softball question. This is all good background information for you. The next one is, and again, if you've heard it, let me know, the right to be informed of the cause and nature. Yeah? That one is in the Bill of Rights, the amendment to the Constitution. It's like number 6. The right to be, it's quote-unquote, the right to be informed of the cause and nature of the accusation. We sometimes say right to be informed of the cause and nature of the charges and proceeding. It doesn't matter. The cause and nature is what's important. The right to be...
So do you want me to study the Bill of Rights?
No. No. I want you to... Not at this point. I want you to study it eventually, but that's down the priority list.
Okay.
When it's time critical, I need to focus you on the shit you need to know, like, ASAP.
All right.
So, and don't worry if you don't remember all this tomorrow or whatever, don't even sweat it, because it's just, you will. You'll just get enough practice and you will, by repetition. So, this next critical softball question, and this is stuff right out of the script, is the right to be informed of the cause and nature of the charges and proceeding. So what that means is, and this is good to know, the cause and nature, okay? The cause is everything that happened in the past, in time, yesterday and everything else. What was the cause of all this? So you have the right to be informed of that. What caused this? The nature is what's going on today right here in the courtroom. I want to know the nature of how you're trying to prosecute me and how these proceedings are governed and how you're going about it. Okay? And then the charges or accusations, the exact same thing. I just like accusations better because it sounds more like, they're accusing you of some shit you didn't do, right? Unfairly. Of the proceeding, of course, the proceeding is just the hearing. Whether it's a motions hearing or a trial or an arraignment, it doesn't matter. So they're all proceedings. So that's another softball question that we like to get on there, because obviously they're going to try and violate it later. And when they do, we get to say, now wait a minute, earlier you said I had a right to be informed of the cause and nature of the charges. Right now you're denying me that. At what point in time did I lose that right here today? Do you see how that makes them look really bad?
Yeah.
They can't just do that, and they have to inform us. So, okay, so there's that one. And then the last one I'll bring up, there's just 3 right now. The last one I'll bring up, which is also complete bullshit for reality, is, do you have the right to be presumed innocent of the charges?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I remember that one.
Now the crazy thing about this, and it's worth explaining, because if the judge ever questions you on it, number one, you don't even have to answer. But number 2, we want you to know the answer anyway. It sounds really simple, right? The presumption of innocence. I know what that means. But it's more complicated than that in this way. They know that there's a big difference between innocence and not guilty. Yeah, okay, cool. You know that part. So they won't let us plead innocent according to their statutes and codes that we're challenging.
Why is that, though?
Because they know that if we were to plead innocent, it would make a bigger burden on them. It would point to their lack of logic and ethics even more. It would say, I'm pleading innocent, like I have nothing to do with any of this. It's not just that I'm not guilty. It's that I'm clearly labeled as innocent. It's like, how did Gary put it the other day? He said, it's like, it's not that I'm not... See, to say you're innocent is the same as saying, I don't owe you any money. To say you're not guilty is to say, I'm not paying you any money. Do you understand the difference?
Yeah.
So, and again, that's a twisted little legalese secret. But that's what it's like. And so they don't want us to be able to plead innocent. They just plead guilty. Or not guilty, rather. But it's not enough to say we're not going to pay you. It's more true to say not only are we not going to pay you, we're not going to pay you because we don't owe you any money. It's not because we're not paying you and we do owe you money. So anyway, that's what's all tied up in the presumption of innocence. And then lastly, about the presumption of innocence. If you're presumed innocent of the charges, how in the fuck can they order you to a hearing where if you don't show up, they're going to give cops permission to come after you with cuffs, tasers, and guns if you resist effectively enough, right? It's comply or die. Simple. We all know that. So that's impossible. They wouldn't be able to threaten you if you were presumed innocent. So they say the words, but the words are completely meaningless, right? We get it that the presumption of innocence isn't even in the Bill of Rights or Constitution that I know of, and I've been looking at it lately. But again,
you just want to fuck the whole transcript up, basically.
Yes, and they want the transcript to be perfect. Because, see, the reason why they're having such a problem with us lately is because the internet's come out and we can record their shit. Yeah, there's too many of us and we can record their shit. Whereas before, they were like, haha, you got to go through us to get the recording. And haha, the only thing that matters is the transcript. Because the transcript doesn't hear yelling and screaming. It doesn't notice that the bailiffs just closed in onto you. The judge just had 3 of them circle you. It doesn't show any of that. And further, it does things like if the judge says something, rattles off a bunch of shit, and you don't object to one of those things in there, it assumes that you didn't object because you consent to it. And so the consent is implied. Yeah. So this is all kind of the big picture nature of the hustle, right? It's just a good background to know. All right. So now that that's down, the next thing to know is that what does it take to bring an actual legitimate case and legitimate charges against somebody? All right. It takes
cause of action, right?
Cause of action is one. It takes elements, and a cause of action is one of those elements.
There's 4 of them, right?
Yeah. Well, there's nothing that's really concrete written down anywhere that says there's 3 or there's 4. But again, these international standards come into play, and there's 3 or 4 as long as they cover the basic cause of action, the fact that there needs to be an actual victim, and jurisdiction.
That's common law, though.
Well, that might coincidentally have share that in common with common law, but it's actually legitimate outside of common law as well. Okay, common law just said like, oh yeah, we're grabbing onto this. Well, I don't blame them. Common law, it's a good thing to grab onto because internationally it's accepted. Okay. Right? So, so what you need to know is that in order to bring a legitimate case, you got to have the elements, and by definition, you may already know this, by definition, the word element means if one of these elements is not valid, the entire thing falls apart. It's like you have to have all the ingredients in order for this to be legitimate. That's what the definition of element means. That's why they use that word. So, the 3 things that you need, we'll just call it 3 for basics, 4th isn't a huge deal, is the cause of action, the actual act, alright? And then the victim, someone who's actually injured, someone who was harmed. You can't just make this shit up and say a unicorn got hurt. Unicorns don't exist, right? And then, of course, the 3rd one is jurisdiction, which is, oh yeah, this is the right court that has the rule to even what's called adjudicate here, or just what the judges do. They make rules, they fine people, they punish people, they, adjudicate. It means to do what the judge does in a courtroom. That's his job. He's an adjudicator. So, those 3 things. Now, we attack the jurisdictional one, right? We deal with the element of jurisdiction because that piece of evidence either has been submitted or it hasn't. It's black and white. There's nothing gray about it.
But there's never going to be any evidence of jurisdiction.
Correct.
Unless you're an ambassador or a military personnel.
Right. If you file a civil case against a judge personally for what they did, you're going to get an answer that says you don't have jurisdiction. This isn't ever going to see a courtroom. And how valuable would that be, right? We bring that into a courtroom and be like, obviously you guys think jurisdiction is an important issue. You escape people suing you civilly for your violations, like you threw me in jail for 4 hours or whatever. You use it, and yet you're denying me the right to challenge it, right? It shows the hypocrisy, embarrasses them politically, and that's the name of the game, as crazy as that sounds. So, again, we're on jurisdiction. So they may say, if they think you're dumb, oh, the ticket's jurisdiction, or we've got legislators that wrote a bunch of laws and that gives us jurisdiction, or
let's say you're physically in this town.
Yeah, geographical. Yeah, that's called geographical location or territory. Yeah, they claim that.
Jurisdiction.
Right. Yeah, there's a bunch of different things about jurisdiction, but I'm not. And that's a topic for another thing, like personam and subject matter and substantive. All these different kinds. For what we're talking about now, it's just a jurisdiction as a whole. As it relates to being an element of the crime. That's the kind of jurisdiction. So they may lie, but easily we can isolate their lie and say, is that the only thing you're submitting as evidence of jurisdiction, or is there going to be something else? We isolate it first, and then you attack it. You just basically put it under your careful examination, and it's easily to point out that that's makes no logical sense, that they're using logical fallacies, errors in logic, and again, embarrasses them on the transcript. And you'll learn the words. Don't sweat it. Okay, so that's why we do jurisdiction. That's why our whole, what we call meat and potatoes, the main point of everything we do, is that pointing out, has the prosecutor submitted evidence of jurisdiction? Or has the prosecutor submitted any evidence that satisfies the element of jurisdiction? I like that one better, because it lets the judge know, I know what the hell I'm talking about. You know, that you use the word element, oh, you must know what you're talking about, you know? You didn't just read this off the internet, you're reading it off a script, right? So, and again, the first thing the judge is going to do, that's an issue for trial, right? Well, no, that's not the kind of jurisdiction I'm talking about. I'm not trying to determine what it is. I'm not trying to decide whether it's valid or not. You're right, that could be done at trial. But I'm not talking about going to a trial. I'm here to plead guilty today and pay the fine if I can be informed of the cause and nature by the prosecutor submitting evidence of this jurisdiction, which of course they never do. If they do, you point out it's crap. So yeah, in essence, nowhere in the country do they ever submit jurisdiction. So we're not trying to determine what it is. We're simply asking, has it been submitted? Yes or no? Has evidence been submitted by the prosecutor? Not what is it, not how good is it, has any been submitted at all? That alone is powerful enough. That has all the power it needs. That alone. So that's the point. That I just take time to make that distinction with people so that they get it. Okay. I'm trying to think of anything else we need before we jump into role play. I'm not. Do you have any questions about any of that or anything off the wall?
I follow you on the whole jurisdiction thing. Jurisdiction is a wide, like, it's a big ass subject. There's so many different forms of jurisdiction. It's fucking insane.
Right. And lucky for us, in this first, their attempts to arraignment, we only got to know that one. Thank goodness. Okay. We don't really have to dive, because if they're like, what do you mean by jurisdiction? Our answer is, I mean what you mean by jurisdiction. You're a judge. Obviously, you know what the element of jurisdiction is to a crime. I'm pointing at that. I'm not making any legal conclusions. So, has the prosecutor submitted any evidence of jurisdiction? Do you see how...
turn it around and ask, like, while you're talking to the judge, cut it off and just ask the prosecutor, has he submitted any evidence of jurisdiction?
I mean, you can, but you'll get mixed results. For sure, the prosecutor
he'll eventually cut you the fuck off, right?
Well, sure. They do a variety of tactics. And I've heard some judges like, don't talk to the officer of the court. What? I can do that anytime I want to.
You're an officer of the court?
Yeah, I know. This is ridiculous stuff, Sometimes the prosecutor, for sure, he's not going to give you a yes or no. He'll start talking to the judge and looking for help. The judge will go to the prosecutor looking for help. That's what they do. They're on a team, obviously.
So they're basically they're in collusion.
Oh yeah, man. There's all kinds of rules too that say they're not supposed to talk about a case outside of it, but they do all the time. It's called ex parte. It's a big violation that they're not supposed to do.
Y'all were talking about yesterday when y'all said that ex parte thing.
Yeah, ex parte means you're not part of their party. They get to talk about it without you there, and that's some bullshit. Just ethically, if they get caught doing that, it's their license. But it happens all the time. In the hallways.
You won't be able to catch them, though.
Oh, yeah, in the hallways or on the phone. Yeah, we never catch them because they're doing it behind the scenes, right? But it happens all the time. So, let's see. What else before we jump into... Do you feel like, okay, giving it a shot as defendant, I'll just be super easy as a judge. I'll just do nothing but answer questions in a way a judge would never, just to get you through it once? Or do you want me to be the defendant and you be the judge? What do you want to do?
I wouldn't even know how to come at you as a judge. I'll probably countless motherfuckers. You're a savage in this shit.
Yeah. Well, let me just play both sides then here real quick. Okay? Okay. And I'm just going to run it through just as if everybody was being nice and civil, which never happens, right?
Okay.
All right. So here's how it roughly goes down. Capone Hernandez, case number 4321C, and you stand up and walk up to the microphone, whatever, the defendant's desk, whatever. And the judge will say, all right, Mr. Hernandez, looks like your charges here were such and such on such and such a date. There's a violation of state code ABC 123, whatever. They could say any of this. This is an arraignment. You have several rights here that will be afforded to you, and whatever, they might go on there. But eventually it's going to end, usually quickly, in How do you plead? Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, do you know, and again, cut me off anytime you want, and let me know if you know this stuff already, but by giving a plea of guilty, not guilty, or no contest, we automatically are saying to... Yep, okay, cool, you know that. Okay. The other two they're okay with any 5 responses from us, not just 3, there's 5 that they would love to have. Any of those 3 pleas, plus someone who just stands mute out of civil protest and refuses to talk to them, that's in their favor. Or someone who gets angry and throws a fit, because then they get to throw them in jail and win that way. Any of those 5, they're happy with. They don't give a shit, right? So with the 3, the guilty, not guilty, no contest. So how do you plea? Our response is, well, Judge, I'd like to plead guilty here today and pay the fine because I don't want this to go any further. However, I just require a few clarifications about the cause and nature of the charge and proceeding. Do I have a right to a fair and meaningful hearing today? Do you hear how that's maybe 3 sentences and ends in a yes or no question?
Uh-huh. Like you went straight into it. You ain't even give them a chance.
Hell no. See, because there are 2 directions this is going to go. It's either going to go down the judge's path or it's going to go down our path. Now, quite often...
you got to give them a chance to answer your question, though, right?
Well, sure. Right. But see, what they did is they go, how do you plea? We don't have to answer them just because they ask a question. And let me touch on this real quick as to why. We are there to minimize the threats of violence against us. We don't want the bench warrant being issued, right? That's why we're there. This isn't voluntary. I'm here because you're threatening me. All right? They want to, put it out there that it's voluntary, but it never is. So when you're accused of something, you do not have to prove your innocence. You don't have to prove shit. That's another softball question. Does the prosecutor bear the burden of proof here, yes or no? They're going to say yes. That's the one you usually get an answer on, actually, all the time. Yes, the prosecutor bears the burden of proof. They really don't have a problem admitting that. So what that means is you don't have to answer shit. Really? You're just clarifying what they're accusing you of. And if you know that, and you can articulate that, they'll even respect that. Because they cannot logically and ethically, again, according to international standards that they respect, force you to make a claim and then punish you for that claim. They can't.
Whoever makes the claim has the burden of proof.
Yeah. And so we don't like to make any claims. That's what lawyers do. They're piranhas for claims. That's what law school is all about. How to make this go on forever and charge a bunch of money per hour. That's exactly what it is. Right? And get the court paid a bunch. So that's why we don't have to ask their questions. A lot of people, they feel this pressure, like, judge asks you a question, oh, I better answer it. Fuck, no, you don't have to. But we do it in a very nice... Have you heard of the Columbo approach? This word? Okay.
Socratic.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the Columbo, the detective on TV, where that comes from?
That's a very old show.
It is. It went from like the late 70s to the early 80s.
Yeah, I'm an 81 baby.
Yeah, cool. See, I'm 76. I don't even remember it. I mean, I remember my mom watching it, barely, reruns. Anyway, all it is if you watch it, it's on Netflix, actually. It just got put on Netflix. If you watch an episode, yeah, it's some goofy-ass detective show, but what it is it's a perfect example of the detective in there. He pretends, dude. He pretends to be this kind of simpleton who's just out there, hey, I'm just asking a few questions. Just really non-intimidating type. I'm just looking to clarify, and oh, by the way, and one more thing, what about this? But in actuality, he sees all the chess pieces on the board. He knows exactly what the fuck he's doing. He's just going about it in a very skillful way that causes the least amount of drama and hassle and time wasted. That's all it is. So that's where we get the Columbo thing. So when we it's not that we just go, hey, I don't have to answer you. No, we don't do that. We try and put it in this, professional Columbo-inspired way. And that's why, and you'll have something like this memorized. Hey, Mr. Hernandez, how do you plea? Well, I intend on pleading guilty here today. In fact, I have an unsigned guilty plea here with me, ready to sign. I'm just so I can pay the fine and be out of here because I don't want to come to these anymore. I just need a few clarifications about the cause and nature of the proceedings, such as, am I presumed innocent of the charges here today? You see how easy that just flows out, and it's not intimidating or confrontational at all? The judge, hopefully, is just going to give you oh yeah, of course you're presumed innocent of guilt, or he'll say, you're presumed not guilty, not responsible, or some other bullshit. So again, we just try and do it all Columbo nice, and you have that little flow into the question. So that's why we don't have to answer their questions, and there's no problem with just responding to a question from a judge with a clarification of our own. And that means...
I would say I intend to plead guilty if you can answer a few clarifications for me.
Yeah, in essence, that's what it is. I mean, there's a little more to it. We actually do go to the hearing with an unsigned plea of guilty on a piece of paper.
Well, I have that off of the thing that I bought off of Mark.
Cool, yep, it's in there. That's the thing. And the reason why, not to get sidetracked too far, but the reason why that got invented and put in there...
Because they can enter a plea for you if your ass does it.
Well, yes, but there's a bigger reason, which is their primary tactic was to give an extension, talk about trial, and, the jurisdiction is for trial, jurisdiction is for trial. Well, when you have an unsigned guilty plea in your hand, ready to sign, so you can plead guilty, pay the fine, and do the time if necessary, and then go home, they have a real hard time coming back with, that's for trial, that's for trial. What are you talking about? I'm ready to plead guilty here today if I can just be informed of the cause and nature of the proceeding. Specifically, where's the element of jurisdiction? That's a gotcha, man. They can't handle that shit, right? So that's kind of why we have that unsigned guilty plea. So yeah, I intend to plead guilty here today. In fact, I brought an unsigned guilty plea here with me. I just would like to be informed of the cause and nature of the proceeding, specifically really easy stuff like, am I presumed innocent of the charges? See how that's just a walk right into a softball question. Ba-bam! Just nothing difficult about it.
If he says yeah, right? If you say, am I presumed innocent of all the charges, and he says yes, then my next question would be, well, is jurisdiction one of the elements of them charges?
Well,
and that's going to be my walking question. And as soon as he he's going to try to deny it. But if he says yes, then I'm going to try to make a verbal motion to dismiss.
Yeah, now you're definitely on the right track. For sure that's the right track. But there's intermediate steps in there. And the reason why we have a little more softball questions in there is because...
to get them to talk, right?
Well, softball questions protect you. They are our protection.
Okay.
See, if you ask, do I have a right to be informed of the cause and nature of the proceeding? Well, if he says yes, now he's got to do it. But guaranteed he's going to try and get away with not doing it in the future. And we know that. The reason why we ask that is to protect ourselves, so if he ever does try it in the future, we can bring it back to, well, you said I had it. At what point did I lose that right, according to you?
Okay.
It protects us. So, yes, you're correct, but there's a few more setup questions you got to get to protect you. Otherwise, if you just jump right into the middle of, forget all the fucking softball questions, let's just go right to, hey, has the prosecutor submitted evidence of jurisdiction? He can do whatever bullshit, treat you like garbage a million different ways, and you just kind of have to now take a bunch of time and be like, well, why don't I have a right to a fair and meaningful hearing? I mean, it's wasting precious minutes. And we only got so much time. Eventually he's going to say, this has been going on for 20 minutes, and of course he was wasting all the time, not us.
Yeah, bragging about nothing.
Yeah, but he's just trying to, this is circular, and one more word out of you, and it'll be bailiff time, and next it'll be, July 10th at 2 a.m. Goodbye, click, And so we've been through all this bullshit before, so we've honed the most effective way that just quickly embarrasses them on the transcript, all that good stuff. So let me let's see. We did the presumption of innocence. We did the right to be informed of the cause and nature of the proceedings, and we did the do I have a right to a fair and meaningful hearing. Now, those three are pretty much you got to have. You can have some more, like do I have the right to defend myself here today? Does the prosecutor bear the burden of proof here today? And if you go in that script, there's several more. So let me return back to what we were focusing on. Let's start of an actual role play. So it's Mr. Hernandez. You go walk up there. Here's the charges. How do you plea? I'd like to plead guilty here today. In fact, I brought an unsigned guilty plea, and I just need to be informed of a few clarifications so I can be informed of the cause and nature of the charges, like, am I presumed innocent of the charges today? Now, let's say the judge says yes. Next question, great, thank you. Do I have a right to be informed of or do I have a right to a fair and meaningful hearing? Judge says yes. Now let's take it a step further. He just said that you're presumed innocent of the charges. Next question, am I presumed innocent of every element of the charges? Let's say the judge says yes. Is jurisdiction one of the elements of the charge? Let's say the judge says yes. Because he can't say no. See, the most beautiful questions we got are yes and no questions. Yeah, yes and no questions that are also catch-22 questions. You know, like he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. Whether he says yes or no, he's fucked. Right? That's what all these softball questions are. So then, of course, you go, am I, innocent of every element of the charge? Is jurisdiction one of the elements of the charge? And then the next one is, am I presumed innocent of jurisdiction? I mean, you're just walking him through. A plus 1 is 2, right? 1 plus 2 is 3, right? 1 plus 3 is 4, right? That's all you're doing. There's logic. And of course, they're not going to say yes, but for the role play, let's say he did. Yes, you're presumed innocent of the element of jurisdiction. Then the next question would be the main meat and potatoes of our question. Okay, we've established that I'm innocent of jurisdiction. And then the next one is, has the prosecutor submitted any evidence that satisfies the element of jurisdiction? And because the answer is no, that means case dismissed, right?
Yeah.
If he says yes, well, that's bullshit, because we're going to be able to prove it's wrong, because no court in the entire country has been able to so far. So do you see the kind of the hook there? Okay, so that's the overall blueprint of a role play. And everything else beyond that is simply a judge, us acting like judges do in real life, and throwing up all kinds of roadblocks. That's all it is. And so you just start going through roadblocks, and again, it's like a judge has bullets in his gun, and he's just blam blam shooting at you. What we're doing is, we've just got, we can dodge that shit. He can't hit us because we can dodge it, or it's hitting a shield, right? And then they run out of arrows. They don't got nothing left to fire at you. They're empty. They don't have anything left, and the only thing they have left is to threaten you with bailiffs and run out of the room. Right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of it. So where it gets more difficult is, the judge being a little more difficult. So if you want, and we've already been on this call for 53 minutes, so I understand. If you got to go at any time, let me know. But
I don't have to go. I was kicking the boy out the damn room so I can hear you.
Oh, it's all good. Let me get back to this guy real quick on his judge's light call. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so we can start a role play, and it's probably best for you to either have those written down. You know what? It is best to have those written down, because you'll develop the pattern. It's better for you if you develop the habit right now of having the 3 softball questions written down, and the fourth real meat and potatoes hardball question.
So it's do I have the right to be informed of the cause and nature of the proceedings?
Yeah, let me I'm just going to cut and paste something to you in the chat box, and then you can get it off there.
What I'll do is I'll copy and paste it to my notes.
Yeah. The only reason why it's good to have it on paper is because you're not going to be able to have your computer screen in the courtroom. You're going to have a piece.
I'll memorize this before I get way there. Way before I get there, I'll have this shit memorized. I'll have this shit memorized by tonight.
Oh, no, for sure. So get this. Even if you got this stuff memorized, right? The benefit of having them written down is that
you can check them off.
Well, yeah, you check them off, and you just kind of, because trust me, dude, it's going to happen. The judge is going to come up with a bazillion different tactics to get you to abandon your question, to avoid having to answer it, and if he's successful even once, he's going to go, aha, it worked. That's his weak point. I can do it again. But if your first impression back at him is after 3 minutes of bullshit nonsense rambling, go, oh, okay, thanks, Judge. I'm looking for a shorter answer than that to this clarification on the table. Was that a yes or no? he's going to go, damn it. Damn
He's
it.
going to start fucking wilding.
Yeah, nothing of that worked, and it always works, and it didn't work. Damn it. Now he's going to be scrambling. You get judges, it's not like driving a car, dude, and they get a flat tire, and you can just pull over on the side of the road and take all the sweet time you want. It's live happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so great to watch them squirm. You know, as they realize they have no more arrows, and they're like, oh shit, you know, it's great. So that's kind of what it is. So the reason why it's good to have them written down is so that I did this my last hearing, dude. I wrote it down, and I had put my pen on the fucking paper, and I did not lift it off that paper until I got a yes or no there, or I decided to because it was in my best.
They allow you to read shit off of your paper in court.
Not too much. They'll let you if you can do it skillfully, like you just flip up a paper. I never have an open paper on my desk. I never let anybody who could be watching me see over my shoulder. I always have a cover sheet. Yeah, I have a cover sheet on it, and I just flip it up like a poker card.
Okay.
Right. And so then if you see it, glance at it, and we're only talking 3 sentences. So I've never heard the judge give anybody shit for that. I've only heard a judge give people shit once, and it was because they were using the script way too much. You know, so it's pretty safe to do. So so then you've got your pen on it, and especially as someone going into their first hearing, man, it's like he's going to throw so much crap at you, and you're going to be so tempted. I mean, part of the reason why they ramble off forever is because they want to troll us into objecting. What about what you just said there? Because if you do, you just abandoned your question before.
Also, if you object during the time that they're talking about a bunch of nothing, then you abandon your question?
Not necessarily. There's a difference. It could be yes if you just totally abandon it. If you object because you know that if he says something, like if let's say he restates what you said and he gets it totally wrong, which they'll do all the time on purpose, if you don't say anything, the transcript says, he agreed to it, otherwise he would have objected. You can't let that slide. You can't let that slide, obviously. And so you have to object, point of clarification, I didn't say that, or please not restate what I'm saying, and if you have any questions about it, just ask me and I'll clarify for you. No problem, Judge.
Yeah.
It lets him know, I recognize what you just tried, I'm not going to let you get away with it.
Got you.
Yep. So that's the reason to object. But otherwise, where I was going with this is, if he goes off for a minute, instead of being successfully trolled into something else, another direction, which again, there's 2 directions, his direction or our direction. He's going to try to always get it down his. Instead of him successfully doing that, your pen is on the goddamn paper, and you're like, I still am on this. You're going to automatically know, despite all the distraction, that that's what you need to come out. That's what needs to come out of your mouth next. Well, I appreciate all that, Judge. I'm looking for a shorter answer. The relevant clarification on the table was, am I entitled to a fair and meaningful hearing? That's a dagger in his eye, dude. And every time I hear something like that, it's beautiful. And it's rare. Even among us who practice this and practice this and practice this, it can be rare because it's difficult to do. That's why I'm saying, oh man, this new guy Capone, what if we hit him with it right from the jump? And he just got that.
I like to go in there and tear their ass up.
Yeah, dude. Oh, you aren't going to believe how much you're going to be able to tear him up. I mean, the judge is going to say stuff to you that we predicted ahead of time is exactly what he would say, and in your mind, you're just going to chuckle a little bit. You're just going to laugh because you know exactly what to come back with, and you're going to be able to spit it out with a quickness. And the judge is going to be like, fuck, nobody can do that. Uh-oh, this guy's good. And that's what you want. The message that you want to send is, like this saying I like to say is like, dude, I am a fellow tiger. You don't see tigers fighting tigers out in the wild. There's plenty of gazelles running around. And when they believe you're a tiger, and what is this all over? This little relatively minor shit? That's not, damn it, and it's been going on for 6 months. Now we're past the speedy trial limit. Oh, shit. Now, it's like, we just dismiss. Just dismiss. And, I just got back from one, this past Monday I'd been fighting for 13 months. They raided my home over cannabis. And the prosecutor didn't want to dismiss it, but the judge was like, I'm dismissing it.
He was sick of the shit.
He was sick of this shit, and they were like, not on the same team anymore. And it took 13 months to get to, but I finally fucking got there.
That's because you stayed on the judge's ass and the prosecutor wasn't able to help him.
Hell yeah, dude. And I was, putting them on YouTube and shit, and hopefully all this other stuff they were noticing, I'm drawing attention to them. I live in a small town, so, if you're in a small pond, word travels quickly, and that's to my advantage. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when you was talking about them locking you up and you teaching everybody in jail how to do that.
Oh, hell yeah. Dude, anytime they get me in jail, I was just going, because I don't know if they're listening or not, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going off to nobody about, I'm going to turn this courthouse into a fucking snow globe flurry of papers worth of motions and everything that'll help everybody else fight the exact same way I am, because you motherfuckers don't have jurisdiction over any of this nonviolent victimless crap. And, nobody's there to interrupt you, or you don't have to be professional, so I would just rant and hope that they heard it. Go send me in general population, please. I get along with...
They will hear you.
Yeah. I get along with everybody. Because, dude, I'm in there and I'm like, oh, fuck, this is not where I want to be, and I don't want to be. Like one of our buddies, he got such a crazy-ass psycho judge, he actually put him in there for 7 days. And they can. They can put you in there for 30 if they want. But the reason why they don't is because they would look horrible. I mean, you could really come back and you put me in jail for 30 days for what? And then they know that looks horrible with the Judicial Code of Conduct and their bosses. Judges are just like anybody else. They want to get promoted. You think they want to be sitting here in traffic court dealing with traffic tickets and reading scripts all goddamn day, 40 hours a week? Hell no. They want to be dealing with the frickin' murder cases. They want to be in Superior Court. They want to be on the Supreme Court, making that big money with the big power in their hands. So if there's judges are like 40, 50 shit, and they're still in traffic court, it's because they suck. They're not good enough to make that cut, dude. And a lot of them are bitter about it. And they're just revenue collectors. They know that they're fraudulent, hustling revenue collectors. So that's kind of the backdrop that not a lot of people actually realize. It's a judge. Oh, he's such a pillar in the community. Oh, look, he must be really smart. He went to law school and
fucking pillar.
Yeah, such a good lawyer. They promoted him to a judge. Oh wait, no. They just make some good old boy network and they'll promote somebody because they like him and he goes with them to the golf country club all the time. I mean, straight up. Straight up, it happens. There's no process of determining who would be best at it, please. The only process to determine who's best at it is who's the best manipulator of the public. That's all it is. Who's making us the most money. So, alright, so, if you want, we can start a role play. You'll be the defendant. I'll be super nice. If you do well, I'm going to throw a little speed bump in your way.
All right.
If you handle it well...
You forgot to send me the questions. I looked on the thing.
Oh, that's right. My bad. That's where I'm at. Hold on. Let me pull them up here. Anyway, okay, so do I have a right to a fair and meaningful hearing? That's one. The second one is... and by the way, that should always be the first one. The right to a fair and meaningful hearing is the foundation. If you don't have a fair hearing, what do you got? You don't have anything.
You don't got shit.
Yeah, so the fair and meaningful hearing is the first one. Alright, so... You got what... You got written down what you need written down?
I got them. I got them all right here.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so let's just do the role play then. I'll just keep it short and everything. How do you plea?
Did you just say how do I plea?
Yeah, that's how it always is. Mr. Hernandez, this is case number 4. The charges are blah 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 blah. And we're here in arraignment. And how would you like to proceed? Would you like to plead guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Well, my intentions is to plead guilty, but I would like you to answer a few clarifications for me. Do I have the right to a fair and meaningful hearing?
You have a right to a fair and meaningful hearing, yes.
Do I have the right to be informed of the cause and nature of the accusations?
Yes, we let everybody have the right to be informed of the cause of the accusations.
What about the cause and nature of the accusations?
Good job. Yeah, I was just seeing if you'd catch it. Yep. Yeah, you got a yes.
Does the prosecutor have the burden of proof today?
Yes, the prosecutor bears burden of proof.
Am I presumed innocent in all the charges against me?
You're presumed not guilty, not responsible of all the charges here against you, sir. This is just an arraignment.
Objection prone to clarification. Is that a yes or a no?
It's an answer. It's the best answer I can give you. You're presumed innocent of... you're presumed not guilty, not responsible.
Objection. What I'm asking is, am I presumed innocent of all the charges against me? Is that a yes or no?
Yeah, you did just fine there. Yes, you get a yes. That's perfect what you just said.
Am I presumed innocent of every element of the charges?
Well, yes.
Is jurisdiction one of the elements?
Jurisdiction is a matter for trial. I'm not sure where you're going with this, but you better get to the point quickly.
Objection. Point of clarification. My intention is to plead guilty today, so I don't know why we would speak of a trial. Am I presumed innocent of all the elements?
Hey, you're just putting a smile on my damn face. Yes.
He said you just put... Has the prosecutor submitted evidence that satisfies the element of jurisdiction, yes or no?
Let's see. You skipped number 7. Or did you?
Am I presumed innocent of jurisdiction? Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's not critical, but I'm just bringing it up. Right?
I cannot skip them. You're right.
I mean, you might get away with it, but it's just...
But he might give me a black eye for it.
Yeah, I mean, you're just connecting the dots even better if you don't forget it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like 1 + 1 is 2, 2 + 2 is 4, you know? So am I presumed innocent of jurisdiction? Yes. We've actually had one judge get this far and say yes. I couldn't believe it.
That's fucking insane if he says yes.
I know. We were flipping out.
They're never going to give you that.
You can listen to it. It's, did I make a video on it? The guy's name is Rich. I was just that's the guy I was talking to briefly while we've been talking. But anyway, you'll hear it later. You'll be like, "Holy shit!" It's amazing.
I've been through most of your videos, guaranteed.
Yeah, maybe you've heard it now. That's sweet. All right, so number 8.
Has the prosecutor submitted any evidence that satisfies the element of jurisdiction? Yes or no?
Well, you got the ticket in your hands. Do you have the copy of your charges?
Objection. Point of clarification. Is that a yes or a no?
Okay, so that's good. You can do this. Let me add a little something to you. And I used this the other day. It goes, you know, Judge, I'm more than happy to answer that question. I just want to get to it after this one so I can check the yes or no. Has the prosecutor submitted evidence that satisfies the element? Do you know? Because it says, hey, I'm really willing to answer that right after this one that's on the table now.
Exactly.
I mean, and again, it comes off friendly, even though, you know, that guy's a fucking asshole.
Yeah. And they'll say shit like to try and anger you so you could black out in court and get locked up.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, I'll mention stuff like that. File that away. That's one of your, you know, shields against nonsense, right?
Yep.
Okay, so has the prosecutor submitted evidence satisfies the element of jurisdiction? Now this is where we can't even role play a yes here because you'll never get it. Otherwise, let's say you do. Let's say yes. What would be next? I'm sorry.
Then I make a verbal motion to dismiss.
Well, yeah. If I said no, they haven't submitted jurisdiction, then that's when you would make the move.
They say they have not submitted jurisdiction?
Right. Because, you put in the motion to dismiss based on the missing element of jurisdiction. If they haven't responded to it yet, then I move to dismiss all charges because the prosecutors failed to respond to the motion requiring the element of jurisdiction to be satisfied. And it doesn't have to be exactly that. You know, it could be shorter than that. Well, then I move to dismiss based on the prosecutor's failure to prosecute. That would be enough.
You think I'm going to be able to get all these questions in?
Fuck no.
This is a lot of questions.
You might not even get to the second one, dude. Because it's a crooked-ass court. And they're learning more and more every day what we're doing. They've never seen this voluntarism, anarchy, Socratic Method come out of before.
Well, they do have books that show them how to combat it, though.
Which one deals with Socratic Method? If you've got it, please show me.
No, I'm talking about they receive books that show them like how to go against a lot of them. What do they call them?
Sovereign citizens, constitutionalists.
Sovereign citizens.
Yeah. In fact, one of my videos, right? It's like less than 10 minutes long. It points out these 2 training manuals for judges. One of them's called The Lawless Ones, The Sovereign Citizen Movement in America. And that one came out in like 2012 or some shit. And then there's another one from the 90s, in the late 90s, one of my videos has these 2 training manuals, and it just gives you a link. You just click on the link, it takes you to the actual website, and then you can read the training that comes down from the federal government to these traffic court judges that says, this is what the sovereign citizen movement is, this is what they're about, and oh, by the way, it makes them sound awful, like violent, and they go, oh, see all these violent people, these people shot at cops, they were sovereign citizens. Over here this time in this state, they shot at cops, they were sovereign citizens. It really is propaganda. It's crazy, insane propaganda for judges. But it says, this is how you defeat it, this is what they come at you with, and this is how you beat it. And it's like getting in the head of a judge. It's fucking amazing read.
Is it a big book?
Nah, man. It's just a matter of dozens of pages, not even 100.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
fine.
like something like 50 or some shit. I mean, you read it in a couple hours, you know. Really digest it. Who the fuck's trying to call me or whatever that is? Man, oh, by the way, while we're on the topic, I gotta tell you this. Alright. So, the people in our group, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get a mix of people from all over the place, and I'm just going to be blunt, okay? All of them know the Socratic Method. All of them know this hustle or more or less know how to get out of it. But you get people who are just... You get people who are not productive, people who are not really helpful. You get people who... A few people are just boring as shit. You know how some people are just personality, they're just boring as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't pick up a social cue to figure that out. Nobody's ever told them. You know what I mean? So my point...
Well, they kicked some dude off yesterday because he was disrespectful and shit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, so, I mean, I won't get into all the details. It's not like there's any drama or nothing. It's just that... Yeah. Just be aware, man, that when you go in this Skype group, you don't have to be like... Well, I don't want to speak up and interrupt because obviously they're on a flow. We need people to speak up and interrupt and be the influence that brings a more, like, non-dorky, goofy-ass vibe sometimes to the place. Do you know what I mean? It's like, half of these people I would hang out with in real life. The other half I would not.
All right.
It's that simple. So just because they're in the group doesn't mean that they're all ballin' and, you know, worth listening to. Okay? Some of them are straight up dysfunctional. Some of them have all kinds of, like, weird psychological anxiety or anger.
Believe me, I see.
Okay, cool. Cool. So just so you know, it's not all dope 100%.
No, I know. I sat there through hours of this shit. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what is this?
Whatever, I'm out of here.
Yeah, and just do that. And like, oh, do you know about Gary, right? How he's the guy who knows everything the most?
No, I don't.
Okay, let me fill you in real quick. It only take a second. There's this guy named Gary, and he's been at this for a couple decades. And dude, I've back when I had a career, whatever, going on in the 20s when I cared about that shit, I've been around my fair share of old professional people or whatever. And in all that time, I never came across somebody like this guy, Gary. He's a guy that is so fucking good at the Socratic Method and coming up with on the fly, like, the perfect response to really embarrass the judge. It's ridiculous. His knowledge of law is insane. It's insane.
Are you talking about the guy that got kicked off yesterday?
Hell no. Okay. Hell no. Gary is like... He puts PhDs to shame in law. This guy, and he doesn't even have a degree in it. It's just his own study. He got fucked with a while ago, and he was one of these people that's just take it to heart and fuck you, I'm not going to lose to this nonsense. Learned it all, and now 20 years go by, and it's just like, dude, this guy, I just pimp it out all the time, because if you are lucky enough to get Gary talking to you, shut the fuck up and listen. And if he asks you a question, don't give him any extra words, just answer it as quickly as possible and let him go off more. And he's a super nice guy. He'll never interrupt. Man, he is Socrates reincarnate, dude. You know he's thinking, God, this is boring, or God, this motherfucker is just interrupting me left and right and won't even let me talk. But you'll never hear him say that because he is so skillful in the art, the craft of communicating with crazy human beings that he'll get you to agree with them because you agree with them on your own, not because he convinced you from claims he made. You'll just say your own ridiculous nonsense, not know it's ridiculous nonsense. He'll ask a question,
find his ass,
point it out, and yeah, dude, it's like insane. So he taught me virtually everything I know in here. I wouldn't be able to do anything of this without him if it was just the regular group. He's like 90% of the group, just in his own brain. It's silly. So I just give you that so that you know ahead of time what's up.
His name is Gary on here?
Yeah, his name is Gary.
I'll jump on his heels.
Yeah, if you ever hear him in, and you can always try and get the group to focus back in on, because see, he'll pop in, and if it's just a bunch of weird techie talk about computers or some shit, he'll just bounce out. And I'm like, God, man, you people need to, you notice him in, you need to change the subject right now to whatever you need. Because that guy, and he does it for free, and he does it like 10 hours a week, which is ridiculous. He's got a life, he makes good money, you know what I mean? He just does it to keep himself sharp at helping retards figure out how to, relative retards, right?
Yeah, right.
Figure this stuff out. And, you know, he does it with the Socratic Method. And this is not a Socratic world. If two people disagree, they start trying to convince the other people, they're button heads, and, oh, I know more than you, and it's just da-da-da. Well, the better way is to let the guy make his claims about how he feels reality is, and then use logic and ethics to ask questions that bring up instances using his logic that contradict each other. Examples that he's using that contradict each other. Therefore, it points out the logical errors he's making. And he does it so politely and skillfully that you don't even feel attacked. Therefore, you don't even get defensive. Therefore, you're just more than willing to, oh, I guess you're right about that. Well, then what about this? And now, next thing you know, somebody who came in guns blazing is being quiet, listening, and asking questions, or saying, oh, you know what, I don't know exactly what you mean by jurisdiction. Can you clarify for me what you mean? And now Gary's talking. And now Gary's teaching. And it's because he convinced you, and you don't even know it, by just asking questions. Now that's Socrates.
Yeah.
And so I'm letting you know, I'm taking this time to tell you everything about him, just because that's what we have here. I say that about him, but it's not like he has some ego to go with it, or he's the king shit. He's just a regular dude, who just knows his stuff. So anyway, all right, enough about that. So so we got through the role play here, and so has the prosecutor submitted evidence that satisfies the element of jurisdiction? Yes or no? If he says yes, they have, and we'll get into this later, maybe another time. You'll be able to learn how to point that out. And in a nutshell, it is if I ever hear yes in my head, I'm going, sweet. I'm glad I got a yes, because I'm about to embarrass and trap you, buddy. Here it comes. No matter what he says, the first question is, okay, so is that the only thing that you're relying on, or the prosecutor is relying on, to satisfy the element of jurisdiction? And that's a setup question, because we want to isolate his answer. That way he can't go, well, it's also this. Oh, that didn't work. Well, it's also this. Oh, damn, you blew right through that too. Oh, it's also this. We don't want to do that. So we want to say, is that the only thing? That way, once we crush it, he's fucked.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the first thing. And then whether he says it's a ticket, or the lawmakers, or the Constitution, or case precedent, or just his opinion, we've got counter tactics to it all, and then we'll shoot it down. And by the way, he's not even supposed to be answering that fucking question. That's a question the prosecutor's supposed to be answering, not the judge. He's a ref. Why are you trying to speak for the prosecutor's team? And then you could bring up the conflict of interest. Who pays? Does a plaintiff pay both of you and license both of you? Isn't that a conflict of interest here? I mean, that's powerful. But anyway, that's all later stuff. So he's damned if he says yes. And of course, if he says no, then of course number 9 is, well, based on that, and the prosecutor's failure to prosecute or submit a valid case, I move for these charges to be dismissed. Boom. Boom. And he's going to say denied. And he's not going to say anything after that for why. He's just going to say denied. This is an arraignment, and you need to plead guilty. You're not on what grounds? Now he has to give grounds, and now he doesn't have a good reason. Therefore, he's in violation of ethics and logic. He's now afraid, and what quickly follows fear is anger. That's where you get the interrupting, the intimidation tactics, the judges, some super secret signal, and now a bailiff walks across over closer to you. This little hidden bullshit, you know what I mean? Right? So this is all just game within game, I guess you could say.
Gotcha.
Alright, so that's from 1 to 9. That's a role play. So now it's like you can take that, go into the room, say, hey man, who wants to role play?
Yeah, I want to rock out with motherfuckers.
Yeah, dude, so if you got the time, now that you got this 9 and kind of a background, go into one of those rooms anytime you want and try it. And, you know, and you're going to screw up. And every time you screw up, you should be thinking, fucking awesome, I screwed up. Because it's better to screw up here than in court. The more you screw up here, the more shields you're going to have. The stronger your armor's going to be. And so it's a good thing. And you'll get multiple input from multiple people. Here, I'm going to write the people you shouldn't listen to. This will help. I've never done this before, but this is... Okay, these people here are somewhat helpful, but take it with a grain of salt, dude. Take it with a grain of salt. Let me look at the list here and see if there's any others. All right, you know, I don't care if we got another 10 minutes here worth of your questions. Do you have any other questions or something you want more clarified?
I'm just go in. I'm gonna just start locking these these questions in.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
cool.
just start trying to put them together. You know, deal with this bitch, watch the video, you know what I'm saying?
Do you know about Gary's YouTube channel called GLCAPP?
No.
Okay, Google.
That's the guy you was telling me about.
Yeah, it was. He's got a YouTube channel. He breaks it down. It was like a personal list and then a legal list of stuff. And the legal list is called Arraignment Foundations. I'm putting that in here too. So cycle through his videos. A lot of them are just interviews that may not apply to you. Just look at the titles. If the title seems like it applies to you, just click on it and listen to it.
I seen this name on the chat group.
That's the guy.
GLACAPP.
That's the Gary.
Okay.
Yeah, if you got a chance, dude, you make friends with him. And he's so friendly, he'll make friends with anybody. He's not going to judge anything or any of that nonsense. So anyway, you'll figure all that out. But
got you.
You're ready. You're done. You are prepped.
I got enough shit here to last me. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. Just holler back at me if you need more. If you got a random question, people do this all the time. They just shoot me a random question. I may not get to it for an hour or a day, but I'll get to it.
Hey man, like I said, whenever you around, if you got some time, you let me know and I'll be right on your heels.
Yeah, I might do that, especially if they're opening up second calls where people are wanting to role play instead of talk about the concepts.
All right.
Yeah, it's all good. All right, Capone.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
And you're welcome. And you actually do me a favor, and people who get to explain this to you a favor, because every time I do, it just gets more solid in my brain, and that's how it flows out of my mouth when I go to court too. Right? It helps me. It's not like I'm just sitting here doing you a favor. It's a two-way street. So yeah, that's all good.
All right.
Cool.
I got you.
All right, man.
Thanks,
I look forward to hearing you in there. Yeah, we'll go from there.
All right. Be easy.
All right, man. Later.
Later.